Hello, welcome to the corner. Today, I just watched the animated feature episode Doctor Who, the Macra Terror. Now, the Macra Terror is an old show, is an old episode that was lost back in the archives when they needed to make room for more shows. Made in 1967, by the looks of it. Master recording was just sort of lost. 67, really? This guy's been the Doctor since 66, 67, 68, 69. He said 3 years. Well, I guess that was 3 years. Anyways, the Macra Terror is a story about basically a giant mind-controlling crab that lives off noxious fumes and tricks humans into working for them. Mining gas and whatnot. When most people look at this, they think more of the animation, seeing as how the story's been around for so long. They think, the story, it's any old Doctor Who story, but the reanimation. They did take some liberties with certain scenes. They had a good amount of telesnaps. One of the few parts of the story where there was actually, recordings that a fan got, they sort of ignored, weirdly enough. Probably because of the fact that the prop looked like shit, and they only had one, so they thought, you know what, let's spice it up. I doubt anyone's going to want to watch a reanimation of an old 50s show just to see it be a 50s show. It's a cartoon, for crying out loud. Let's have fun. Live a little. The animation, I will say, is very immersive. I found myself very gripped into the story. I thought the weird, uncanny-ish valley, or whatever, since it was made to be live action instead of animation, would throw me off guard. It did for a second, but once you get used to it, you really get immersed. It really shows how well the classic stories hold up. Me, personally, I didn't watch too many classic stories, but the ones I did see were very memorable and fun to watch. It's in color. It came in two versions, black and white and color. This was originally made to be in color, and they thought, well, let's make it black and white. Reason that it's in color is because, well, since we're not shoving it with any extra clips of the actual show, we don't really need to make it mandatory black and white, so let's spice it up. It's funny. It also came with a short mini-sode animation of the Wheel in Space, trying to see if they can get by my guess, they were trying to see if they can get investors or something to get interested in it. When I saw that, it was actually very good. Suspense was high and whatnot. It was I liked it. I really wanted to see more. It was only a good minute, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. It was short as hell compared to the rest of the story, but believe you me, those were some fun short minutes. They had a tiny robot that I didn't watch. I didn't listen to the Wheel in Space, so I have no idea what happened. But what I did see was very interesting. They had a robot. I don't know what the robot is, if it's evil or not, but the robot was very iffy. What they do is they do the humans in standard 2D animation, but when they have a monster or a robot, it's in 3D. At least for these types of stories. It's also rated PG. That giant triangle. Parental guidance. Feels like it should be more than parental guidance. They have a guy who dies into a pile of goo. I know parents are going to look at this and say, my kid will love seeing giant crabs mind control people to mine noxious gases and then decide to blow them up. After all, it's animated. It must be for kids. Parents are idiots sometimes. It's funny. Me personally, I think all in all, it's really good, and I'm excited to see what they come up with next with animating the missing aspects of the story. I have Blu-ray because I have the PlayStation and it's compatible with Blu-ray. Little added bonus. Until 4K starts catching on as much as Blu-ray. Well, actually, even less. Blu-ray didn't even catch on that well. You had to buy a separate system. I think what annoyed people with Blu-ray was the fact that it was basically DVD, but basically slightly nicer. And do you really want to go out of your way to buy a DVD player that has a different name? Hey, there's my cat. And she's gone. Guess that's what happens when you squash your cat's head from a distance. Sounded wrong. Anyways, I went off a tangent there. But I got the Blu-ray copy because go big or go home. Or until 4K becomes a thing, go medium. Or not buy the Blu-ray. In the end, Blu-ray stopped being more of a, hey, let's watch this at home, and more of a fan collector's item. You're not a true fan unless you have the high-definition Blu-ray of insert show here. But me, I just found it surprisingly interesting. I mean, there are some spots where them animating was sort of iffy. There was a spot where, how to describe this? There was a spot where they were walking down a corridor, but it was at a weird angle. And clearly these animators weren't used to drawing at such weird, specific camera angles. And when they had to, the characters just didn't look right for that angle. Basically, if you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about, but it's on my notice. I'm a tad of an artist, and seeing that little error in quality was just a bit jarring. Not too jarring, since it was only a few seconds, but when you notice it, it really lingers. Like the noxious gas they swallow. Breathe. You don't swallow air. Hey, look, there's some air. Delicious. Tastes just like my hopes and dreams. Empty, but keeps me alive. That worked out better than I thought, that metaphor. Anyways, so let's talk about the Blu-ray box itself. This is the sleeve. If you look at it, you know how most of the Doctor Who DVDs and whatnot have these covers, but this is actually the back of the sleeve. The front is this, but paper. Some extra junk. Here's the Blu-ray in the color. If you look carefully, you can see the original front that I flipped. One minor detail that I would have liked, but would have been nitpicky, is if they made... I don't know if they spelled color wrong, but they spelled color Color. I can spell. I passed first grade. I don't know if that's like specifically how it works, or if I'm crazy. And here, it's in, and this is the black and white disc. Couldn't they have made the disc actually black and white? Keep with the theme. That way, if you're dyslexic or whatever, you're like, which one's black and white, which one's color? I can't tell. I mean, if you look at the picture hard enough, it's like, doesn't matter too much. I mean, if you were crazy, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. It'd all be in, Patrick Troughton. I was like, Patrick? You ever have a Patrick Troughton, William Hartnell? Those are the guys. Those are the people whose names you have to say their full name, or else you don't know who you're talking about. You're like, oh, Patrick? Who? Patrick Troughton? Oh, that guy. And, Bill? William? That doctor? Who? Hartnell? Oh. And, Tom? Baker? Oh. And David? Tennant? Of course you know that. I love David. And, Matthew, or Matt Smith. The one after Tennant? Oh, that guy, yeah. It's basically Patrick Troughton, except mainly the funny bits. Anyways, I'm going off tangents here. So it's a nice little option. If you like the classic cover, then you can just flip it around. You get the same information. You even get a special glare, half off. Just kidding. That's the sun. Crazy, am I right? And they said it didn't exist. All those shut-ins. Yeah, so basically, if you feel like getting into classic Doctor Who and don't like black and white, you can always watch this, and you can always just watch this and sort of ease yourself in. Because as a standalone story, it's fun. I mean, obviously, you'd have to know a little bit about Doctor Who, but who doesn't know him? If you're gonna watch this, if someone decided, you know what, I'm just gonna buy this and watch it, and they didn't like get any context beforehand, I doubt they would not be fans because these are collector's items. Unless they were getting it for a friend and they're like, well, might as well see how it is. Watch it and be like, wow, none of that shit made sense, but I had fun. The thing also came with this piece of paper telling me about Doctor Who comics. What's this? Just art directory guide or something. It's like looking at a guide for a video game from Elden times. Basically, check it out as a DVD version if you feel like it. Me, I think it's an interesting story. They left some parts out, but hey, you can't get everything right on the first try. I mean, yeah. There are other animated versions of Doctor Who. They mainly reanimated stories that had like one or two missing episodes. But this was an entirely missing story, so they thought, let's just go all in. That way, we get our money's worth. Like in William Hartnell's last story, the last episode was missing, so they had that reanimated. But it's in black and white, no color option, because the rest of the story's in black and white, so I make a color option. Sorry, my cat's showering. Anyways, like, subscribe, talk about more Doctor Who shit if you want. I can talk about screwdrivers. I have them.